of the whole to debate the perspectives for the parliamentary cooperation in the Pacific Islands, conclusions and recommendations that have been endorsed by the Pacific Islands Parliamentary Group, the PIPG. In doing so, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm aware that these motions do come into Parliament now and again for our debate, perhaps a rarity, but I think in this occasion it's important for us to, in the spirit of transparency and accountability, to have it presented in Parliament for us to consider in this House, given that it's definitely a body that we're looking to be part of that will impact all of us here in this House, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Pacific Islands Parliamentary Group, the PIPG, was founded in 2019 under the Taraho'i Declaration, one of its declaration for the formation of this particular parliamentary group. That is, of course, one that was done under the leadership and guidance of our French Polynesian friends. So the Pacific Islands Parliamentary Group is a regional body comprising the legislative branches of Pacific Islands. Of course, it was formally established to bring together the Micronesia, Melanesia and Polynesia parliamentarians to foster a unified platform for parliamentary dialogue, cooperation and advancement of democracy in our respective parliaments. Mr. Speaker, sir, the PIPG functions not only as a forum for parliamentarians, but also as a mechanism to strengthen the legislative institutions upholding democratic principles and contribute to sustainable development and peace across the Pacific. It complements the work of the Pacific Islands Forum and the other Council of Regional Organizations, the so-called CROP agencies, by integrating the parliamentary perspectives into regional governance frameworks. Parliamentary institutions, as you know, Mr. Speaker, are inherently designed to promote inclusive representation and political dialogue, ensuring that policies enacted by the executive reflect the will and interests of the people, and also extending this role to a regional grouping of parliaments at this time we feel is both logical and necessary, allowing national legislatures to collectively address transboundary challenges and indeed shape regional policy discourse. Unlike national governments, as you know well, Mr. Speaker, which often reflect the political stance of the ruling party or coalition, parliament institutions, by and large, especially those within the Pacific region, are pluralistic by nature. The embodiment of the political diversity of societies, of our societies, and the provision of a more balanced perspective in regional affairs are some of the characteristics that flow from our parliaments. Now, we are aware that each parliament are quite different from each other, have their own standing orders, of course, but overall, the elements of democracy and advancing democratic values are shared throughout the Pacific Islands region. Over time, the PIPG has a potential to evolve into a primary representative body for the Pacific parliaments at the regional level. So while retaining its core functions that has been in place since 2019 of dialogue, collaboration and exchange of parliamentary practices, it could broaden its mandate to actively engage in regional as well as international institutions. This expanded role would give the PIPG the platform to amplify the diverse voices of Pacific legislatures, ensuring that political plurality and democratic values of the region are reflected in global forums and regional decision-making processes. In recognition of its importance, the National Parliament of Solomon Islands had formally joined this PIPG in 2023, affirming its commitment to advancing parliamentary democracy and fostering regional solidarity. In fact, the signing was done in 2022, Mr. Speaker, sir, as you know. Sir, so far the Pacific Islands Parliamentary Group has already had 4 meetings. The 4th meeting of the group was held in Palau in 2024. Noted that it was attended by yourself, as well as a good member for North Malaita, now the Minister for Rural Development, as well as the Honourable Member for Central Korai, now the Minister for Infrastructure. However, due to problems with his travel, he was not able to make it to this particular meeting. But Mr. Speaker, sir, at the 4th meeting in Palau, the member countries have reported back of their respective countries and parliaments' commitment to take action and to address the original Taroho E Declaration. I want to note on record here, Mr. Speaker, sir, the active participation of the Minister for Rural Development at this particular regional event last year. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Pacific region has long been shaped by its expansive ocean and the vast connector of island nations bound by shared history, cultural kinship, and economic ties. Yet today's pressing challenges, which include climate change and economic inequality and waning public confidence in democratic institutions, extend beyond national boundaries and call for a united regional response. This initiative builds upon the enduring legacy of Pacific regionalism, drawing momentum from the 2014 Pacific Islands Forum Leaders Meeting, where the framework for Pacific regionalism was adopted. That framework reflected the value of shared sovereignty and collective resources management and regional decision-making to elevate the Pacific's voice on the global stage. Mr. Speaker, sir, regionalism in the Pacific, therefore, is not merely institutional, it is deeply embedded in our cultural traditions, trade relations, and our social bonds. As the Speaker of Tonga aptly framed it, the creation of the PIPG reflects the Tongan concept of kumi whanua, the search of new land, a metaphor for Pacific voyaging and interconnectedness that continues to inspire our cooperative spirit. Mr. Speaker, sir, guided by this heritage, the Pacific Island Parliamentary Group, the PIG, was formed to offer a structured venue for Pacific parliamentarians to engage in dialogue and exchange knowledge and champion good governance. While each parliament operates, as mentioned, within its own national mandates, collaboration enhances transparency, legislative scrutiny, and regional policy coherence. Mr. Speaker, sir, with support from partners such as the United Nations Development Programme and the Pacific Islands Parliamentary Group acts as a conduit between national legislatures, promoting joint efforts on regional priorities, including democratic integrity, sustainable development, and inclusive representation. At its core, the group is founded on the belief that Pacific nations are stronger when united. So by institutionalizing parliamentary cooperation, it ensures that our collective voice resonates globally, reinforcing the vision of a resilient, cohesive, and thriving Blue Pacific continent. Other than a forum for interparliamentary relations, the PIPG offers a unique space for members of parliaments in the Pacific Island region, the elected stewards of Pacific communities, to convene. It complements executive-level platforms by enabling direct parliamentary discourse on issues that affect our people most profoundly. So within the PIPG, we are steadfast in commitment to harmonizing, where appropriate, legislative efforts across the region. It is a space for talanoa, or talk story, for open dialogue, and for collective reflection, anchored in a shared vision of a Blue Pacific that withstands the climate crisis and rebuilds resilience, leaving no community behind. Sir, I must highlight the viability of regionalism hinges on unwavering political will and enduring commitment. The strength of our collective endeavor is only as robust as the resolve of each individual member. The evolution of the Pacific regionalism affirms the indispensable role of visionary leadership and sustained political engagement in navigating shifting geopolitical currents and confronting emerging threats. Advancing regional cooperation demands inclusive governance, shared ownership, and a commitment to coordinated action. These principles will cultivate the leadership and diplomatic capacity essential to sustaining regionalism. The group complements national efforts, helping to realize our common goals and elevate the collective aspirations of the Blue Pacific continent. Mr. Speaker, sir, with 18 members from independent states and territories who are members of the Pacific Islands Forum, the group serves as a regional parliamentary network that represents a diverse range of governance systems, including parliamentary, presidential, even hybrid models. The group is the first regional group in unifying legislative cooperation across the entire Pacific region. At the 2023 Pacific Islands Parliamentary Group Conference in Tonga, the Secretary General of the Pacific Islands Forum, Henry Puna, recognized PIPG as the leading organization of parliaments in the Pacific and called for greater collaboration between PIPG and the Pacific Islands Forum. Against that backdrop, I now turn to the key recommendations of the report. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are 16 recommendations to the report. First recommendations is for the change of the name of the group to better represent its new overarching mandate and objectives as the main parliamentary body at the regional level, by calling it the Pacific Inter-Parliamentary Assembly, PIPA. Second recommendation is, besides its current mandate of Regional Parliamentary Forum for Dialogue, Collaboration and Sharing of Parliamentary Practices, expand PIPA's mandate to all matters relevant to parliaments at the regional level, including bringing inclusivity, accountability, and transparency to the regional architecture. Recommendation 3, over the medium term, develop the role of PIPA as a regional conveyor of parliamentary practices and facilitator of technical assistance to Pacific Islands parliaments. Recommendation 4, as the only pan-Pacific interparliamentary body, keep PIPA's mandate as broad as possible, both thematically and geographically. Recommendation number 5, over the medium term, structure PIPA as a regional parliamentary organization in international law. While it will be part of the family of regional organizations, it will be politically and functionally independent. Recommendation 6, on the short term, incorporate PIPA as a regional association of parliaments to rapidly acquire the legal personality. Recommendation number 7, Mr. Speaker, sir, is to create governance structures for the association that can remain as the governance structures for the future regional organization. Recommendation 8, besides the permanent secretariat, create a General Assembly and a collegial and representative board. Recommendation 9, hire human resources for the Permanent Secretariat, reporting to the board. And in order to limit costs, the Permanent Secretariat will be further supported by the Secretariat of one of the members during the transitional phase. Recommendation 10, incorporate the association in Tahiti. Recommendation 11, create a procedural mechanism for members to be able to present, discuss, and adopt own initiative resolutions on subjects of common interests. Recommendation 12, create a mechanism guaranteeing flexible membership by activity, depending on the needs and requests for parliamentary cooperation within the Pacific region. Recommendation 13, approve an annual operational budget of USD $150,000 during the transitional phase. Recommendation 14, approve an annual development budget of approximately USD $150,000 during the transitional phase. Recommendation 15, develop a tiered contribution system based on the members' resources and based on the objective economic criterion, which is the GDP, guaranteeing that the association and later the regional organization will have access to own resources covering at least its annual operational budget. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, recommendation 16, to enter formal partnerships with the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat, the Community of the Pacific, the PIDP, the European Union, and the OACPS, and the UNDP, and invite their leadership to the constitutive GA of PIPA, General Assembly PIPA, in August 2025 in Fiji. This is this month, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, the recommendations have culminated in a statute that has been drafted and that will be considered at the end of this month in a meeting hosted by Fiji. The statute will be incorporated, as we have seen in the recommendations, in Tahiti, and will see the PIPG, the Pacific Islands Parliamentary Group, reconstituted as the Pacific Inter-Parliamentary Assembly, with the acronyms PIPA, as we already know. And of course, PIPA in no way, as already mentioned, is a standalone, usurps the standalone powers of Pacific parliaments and the sovereign powers of individual parliaments that they currently enjoy. So no usurpation by PIPA of our current workings as sovereign parliaments. This regional parliamentary assembly will provide a platform for legislature and PIF members to participate in regional as well as international fora representing the Pacific Island Forum membership legislative collective. The envisaged PIPA will not exist in a vacuum, Mr. Speaker. The recently adopted Samoa Agreement, setting out the new architecture for ACP-EU development cooperation in a post-Lome Convention era, has already designated new formats for parliamentary engagement, both within the ACP countries' regions and between ACP and EU parliamentary assemblies. This new format promotes regional parliamentary engagement with the European Union, Mr. Speaker, sir. This is a new format that is different from one that was in place for decades, whereby the ACP collectively as a group engages with the EU. Now, with the new format under the Samoa Agreement, each region within the ACP will have to engage separately. That means Pacific will have to engage separately with the EU, the Caribbean, as well with the EU, and Africa with the EU, combining together in another format later. These are already in the works, as the executive has already signed on to the Samoan agreement, including Solomon Islands. So this PIPA is now established at the right time. And it is right time and high time that Solomon Islands take a founding nation role in the establishment of the PIPA. Let us share this vision. Let us not step back. Let us take this forward and be proud to be listed as a founding member of this regional parliamentary organization. Our regional solidarity, including that shared by the respective parliaments of PIF members, will contribute towards strengthening the Pacific region's collective resolve in issues including legislative-related ones. Sir, it's fair to say that the inevitable question will be asked: what is the value proposition of such a regional body? What is the value addition that it brings? And these are fair questions that even within the Pacific Islands Parliamentary Group we have been also grappling with. But in the context and in the regions such as ours, solidarity must be a core value. Solidarity should not have an expiry date. To paraphrase the edict, no man is an island, Mr. Speaker said, no parliament is an island. Just as the executive at the regional level has its Pacific Islands Forum Leaders Summits, just as members of the judiciary meet in the Pacific Islands law officers meetings regionally, so too parliaments of the Pacific look forward to meet under a Pacific Interparliamentary Assembly. It provides a space for closer cooperation and collaboration, as I already mentioned, between PIF member parliaments. It will contribute to further solidifying our solidarity. More concretely, the value in considering collective action by Pacific parliaments on the domestication of some of the key findings of the recent ICJ advisory opinion on climate change, for example, is an area where this PIPA can already prove its worth in ensuring that the advisory opinions of International Court of Justice is domesticated and brings it to life in Pacific Island countries through appropriate legislature. Mr. Speaker, sir, that is just an example of what this group can bring. And there are many more examples, of course, that this group can realize moving forward. Mr. Speaker, as you know full well, Solomon Islands Parliament, under your able leadership, is a member of the working group that prepared this very document that we're looking at this morning. We are a member of this group that is leading the charge towards achieving this historic establishment of this regional interparliamentary assembly. Sir, on this note, I must acknowledge your leadership under the PIPG and that of members of Parliament who have been engaged in this process over the last two parliaments, the 11th and now the 12th, that have been in support of parliamentary diplomacy. I wish to sincerely thank as well here my predecessor, Honourable Member for Central Kwarai, the Minister of MID, for his tireless efforts in the work towards realizing this regional initiative. I wish to also thank the Committee Secretariat and especially the Secretary of Foreign Relations Committee the Director of Parliamentary Standing Committee, for their support over the years in the PIPG program. I wish to also thank my committee members for their support of this PIPG report and the motion that we are now considering this morning. I am grateful for all your commitments and the support for this motion, and I'm confident that you will each be pleased with the results, findings and recommendations made herein. Mr. Speaker, I commend this report, which our own Parliament, as a member of the Working Committee, has played a critical role in its conclusions, findings and recommendations to this House for consideration. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to move.
Members may now speak on the general principles of the paper under the discussion. In so doing, may I kindly remind members to comply with the rules of debate set out in our standing orders. The floor is now open for debate. Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by thanking the Honourable Chairman of the Parliamentary Committee on Foreign Relations and the Member of Parliament for East Harare for tabling this very important paper, Perspectives for Parliamentary Cooperation in the Pacific Islands, before this House today. Mr. Speaker, the underlying philosophy behind this paper is noble and something that all countries in our beloved Pacific region must aspire for, because it can formalize the links between all of the region's parliaments. The paper made several references to the current and ongoing review of the regional architecture. Mr. Speaker, before I proceed further, this side of the House we will be making interventions on individual basis at this stage of our considerations. Mr. Speaker, I note that and agree with the observation that the previous and current reviews of the region's architecture had missed parliamentary institutions in their scope, and I further agree that cooperation between the region's parliaments can and must be strengthened. Mr. Speaker, the general intention to establish, formalize and appropriately name the instrument of cooperation between and among Pacific parliaments being proposed as Pacific Islands Parliamentary Assembly, or PIPA for short, is well articulated in the paper. Likewise, the rationale, the positioning, the structure, the intended geographical coverage and legal status, membership and location of the new organization are also discussed in the paper, and as we have heard from the chairman. Mr. Speaker, in general, I am in support of the intentions of the concept articulated in the paper. However, sir, in its current form, there are several omissions, gaps, and assumptions that will need to be addressed to strengthen the context, minimize the gaps, and remove or modify certain assumptions that could undermine the intent of the paper. These include the following. One, no reference or acknowledgement to the Pacific Parliamentary Assembly on Population and Development, PAD, which was established in 1997 as a pan-Pacific parliamentary body to involve the legislature in supporting development. There are important lessons from PAD that can strengthen the narrative on PIPA. Second, no clear statement of the purpose and objectives of the PIPA. Of course, the move of the motion did attempt to address those. The paper does not provide a clear and succinct narrative on exactly what PIPA is, its purpose, its objectives, and what outcomes it hopes to achieve. Should it include some focus on people and development, or just linkages between parliaments? Some of the intent is buried in the descriptive text and therefore implicit. They need to be drawn out and made more explicit. Thirdly, securing legal status and membership criteria of international organizations under international law. This would be the most challenging aspect, and the paper did not provide deeper analysis on what is possible. In section 3.1, the long-term goal is to be recognized as an international organization under international law. While the paper acknowledges this requires a treaty, the current provisions governing memberships in international organizations under international law are, and this needs to be looked at more deeply. One, sovereignty. States must be recognized as sovereign entities under international law. Second, political stability. A stable political environment is often a prerequisite, ensuring that a member state can effectively participate in organized national activities. Thirdly, of course, economic viability. Economic stability or growth may be assessed as financial capabilities can affect contributions and commitments. 4, adherence to principles. States must commit to the core principles and values of the organization, promoting peace, security, and cooperation. A Pan-Pacific Treaty-based PIPA in the manner described in the paper, I believe at this stage will be extremely difficult to achieve. Under section 4.1 of the paper on governance, subsection 4.1.1.1 on who can become a member of PIPA may require rethinking. All Pacific Island countries and territories come under 3 forms of government systems and legal jurisprudence: the British Westminster system, the American system, and the French system, that are not necessarily the same. Faith, incorporation of association. The paper justified the choice of incorporation on simplicity and cost. More in-depth thinking needs to be done on whether it is that simple, or will there be challenges trying to standardize and synchronize the specific requirements of the 3 different legislative structures. One area not mentioned is the language. Are all documents of PIPA going to be kept in a bilingual format? 6, implications of development assistance on organizations that are not intergovernmental in nature. Further analysis needs to be done on whether locating the Secretariat in a non-sovereign country will present other challenges. Experience has shown it is much more difficult to secure development partner financing for entities located in non-sovereign jurisdictions. Mr. Speaker, Sir, given my observations above and the importance that I attach to this paper, of course acknowledging and recognizing the work that has already been invested and that has been spent, including work from contributions from our Parliament, it is my view, Mr. Speaker, that we should not rush this paper and not speak on or discuss individual recommendations, because in my view some of the recommendations may need to be modified or restructured. So instead I recommend that all of us be given time to discuss this paper in a bipartisan manner, perhaps using a workshop format to improve the paper, especially looking at the 16 recommendations that before us in this paper. Finally, Mr. Speaker, Solomon Islands, in terms of going forward, Solomon Islands is the incoming chair of the forum, and our chairmanship will go from this meeting to the next meeting in Palau in 2025. It is my view, if this House agrees, that we take time to refine the paper and have it presented to and be discussed by the current Pacific Islands Parliamentary Group, and we can also use our chairmanship to further progress its development after the forum meeting. Mr. Speaker, with those remarks, and I'll resume my seat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Prime Minister. Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, sir. And I do wish to thank the Honourable Member for East, because of Gualcana, but no more, East Arare, and Chair of Foreign Relations Committee for this committee, Blohem too, for this full report, and of course the work that was done by the former Chair of the Foreign Relations Committee, the current Minister Blow Infrastructure Development, Member Blow Central Kwarai, for the work that has gone into this matter for a number of years now. Also, Chairman Law FRC had me outline him. I think we can see the value proposition. This will add value in terms at the general level, in terms of PIF leaders meeting and the leaders blow executive branches of regional countries and territories, and then of course law judiciary. Even over the different systems, you got American system, over northern Micronesian states, over the French territories, and you were inheriting Westminster system. We all still have the independence of judiciary from legislature and the executive, and so judiciary and executive do have these regional platforms. Parliaments now no more. As a simple example, for example, you got a remote induction where you were less for come attend them. Inductions are very, very useful, especially for new members, but it does add value. Those are the kinds of responsibilities that ought to be taken on also. Perhaps UNDP or other organizations working through PIPA, and also looking at how to enhance capacities, block at the parliaments, both committee structures, secretariat, and we have quite a good experience here of Solomon Islands in the way we have developed our committee processes and procedure. And that experience, we must share them with others, just as others share them experience, need for, or good folks share them experiences blocked with Yumi. And this platform represents a good way to do that. When I first looked at this paper, me lulukulam this morning too, so pardon my sounding a little bit ignorant. The question that hit me was that, and given that the motion is for Yumi go into committee for Lukluklohem, so when we go into committee for Lukluklohem, Yumi cannot change him anything here, and we're not being asked to approve this paper. And so that's the first question that came to mind, and given the issues that have been aptly raised by the Honourable Prime Minister, some of those issues meeting him, I think, once you may say yes and then go now, they'll be working through. But some of the other issues raised by the PM is important that we, as it were, we are giving approval. That yes, we want to be part of this one, although we have been part of the working group. That formally Parliament may say yeah, but the choice of the motion doesn't allow Parliament to give any approval or to change or amend or redraft any of these, presumably because every Nara Parliament is being given the same recommendations, and Oga 2 by not changing. So that, I think, is a matter that if you may workshop him, and we take the route of PIF and take advantage of the fact that by Yumina chair of PIF from September onwards, it offers us the opportunity. This one no gospel lo Bible, so that you may not have sensitive. And then perhaps using some PIF resources too, we could maybe drive that process with the working group, enhance outlook and timeline law, or get recommendations, or get put them forward. Me a little bit look law, the other issue now, this whole budget. Firstly, the issue raised by the Honourable Prime Minister, Lomo, a non-sovereign state, so we're seeking to headquarter it, Lo Tahiti. A nice place here. And so if you may put them there, the paper discusses by Tahiti Assembly, is that what it's called over there? Assembly Blolketa, or what's our equivalent, Parliament law there, will be helping in the transition process in meeting some of the costs. That I think needs to be a little bit more fleshed out also. This for a transition process, or the kinds of activities Bhagat seek for doing, and when we graduate out of that transition process to the more permanent position or permanent platform. So those are some of the issues me a little bit come across, but that notwithstanding, the paper is very good for what work that has already been done. It's touching on some very pertinent issues relevant to the region, and will enhance or accentuate the position of parliaments in regional engagement vis-a-vis the executive and judiciary, and so you must support them. And there is need, of course, that we understand it better, and I think that workshopping suggestion Hemi Embarab a good one. But sir, perhaps from today, after you may go through this whole process, by Hemi useful, I think Chairman Law Foreign Relations has been part of that, or the more detailed discussions. We can then see whether those are possible in the regional process law working group, and whether subsequent to this it comes back to Parliament for approval, or that's a matter only in committees law Parliament for me clearly the process going forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support the motion.
Thank you, Honourable Leader, for the opposition. Foreign Affairs Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for recognizing me. Mr. Speaker, I too would like to contribute briefly now. I think everything has been explained by the Prime Minister, the Leader of Opposition, and the Chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. Just some observations now, and I share the sentiment that the Prime Minister has alluded to, and some of the sentiments that are raised by the Leader of Opposition. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee for bringing the paper to the House, and also the former Chairman, he's not here, and also the member of the working group, Minister for MRD. They are both not here. Mr. Speaker, this is a regional institution which Solomon Islands, you may like for be part of, and part of in the form of a founding members, this one parliamentary group here. So we also member of CPA, we are also member of the Parliamentary Association of there. And we have a twining arrangement within New South Wales Parliament. So those are important institutions that we become part of them. Here we are now having a PIPG to be formed law region blaming because insofar as we himself a PIF Hemblot executives, the executive government blaming. Now, as we know, we have three arms of government. The legislature, you may want to sit down here. The executive, which is headed by the Prime Minister, and also the judiciary, headed by the Chief Justice. We think you should make one for judiciary too. But I've been told that they already have an existing one, Law Pacific, so that the three arms of government are institutionalized Law Region Blaming too, and form part law, the regionalism blaming the country. Mr. Speaker, and we share the sentiment that the Prime Minister shared. The incorporation by Dream of Tahiti for or headquarters of Tahiti. That needs to be looked at carefully, Chairman. And as you know, Tahiti and France voice a lot of France, and I brought of France to the Pacific. And then best that you may relooked at the incorporation. If you know Tahiti, and true, lead and talent nice place, but there are nice places too. Region blaming. The cost of running the Secretariat is not for consideration, Mr. Speaker, because in running an institution, a regional institution, it will call for contributions, government as well, or nation blaming. And that one now, one thing that immediately struggle with him what a budget blaming, struggle with him what even with supplementary, something that maybe committee by relook will have how now. Help out law in terms of our contribution to the running cost of the Secretariat. That one is very important. And I like the idea that this group, the PIPG, am associated with PIF, and not only that, of the European Union, OACP, and also the SPC, and the other groups that are of the regional institutions blaming. As you know, Chair, start this month, in Solomon in the chair of OACP, and I think the Chairman of International Committee of Foreign Relations, Friend Lumi himself, exactly what it means to be the chair of the OACP. OACP, Organization Law, Africa, Caribbean, and the Pacific regional-based law Brussels. And this month, we'll go even not chair that one this time. So it's a big call for us, something that we may have to step up to and make sure that we are not only a participating member, but a voice inside that institution. The other thing that Milak Savanama is PIPG, what a report lahuya, the reporting mechanism number, who they report to after the final what come up with a recommendations or a document, outcome document, where now this document goes to, or who does the report go lahuya. And also, Mr. Speaker, the representation, representation. Is it a tripartite, independent opposition government be part of it, or if on our side be part of it, or the representation of a PIPG? Insofar as I'm concerned, this is a noble call for me to be part of the PIPG. And Chairman Law International Relationship is in a very good position to advocate for that position, blaming a founding member of that one. If you're founding member of 234 organization, but I'm not going to go into that one. So with these few remarks and the comments that I made, Chairman, we hope you take note of them with the comments that the Prime Minister has made. We support the motion for me look into the
the report read. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Anyone wish to contribute to the debate? May I now call on the Chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee to deliver his speech in reply before I put the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the contributors for this debate. Here, the Prime Minister, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, and the Leader of the Opposition. Very much welcome their engagement on this important report, the perspectives from the Pacific Islands Parliamentary Group, and all their interventions are well noted and well accepted. Mr. Speaker, sir, in terms of the remarks by the Prime Minister, indeed, the 1997 PAD, Parliamentary Development and Population and Development, I'm not thinking full name, but be inside the so that was a population-related parliamentary kind of a setup that was very much spearheaded by UNF, Population Fund. So that is something that perhaps was very much related to the activity of that particular UN body. So I think once activities die down, these organizations or set up also take a natural kind of a slump too. That is for that one. We do note that there have been attempts in the past to have parliamentary kind of groups coalescing around certain activities or issues. As explained, this group, in terms of the theme, it's more broad, allows for members to bring in their own theme, and it allows for us to own our own organization rather than have other partners like the United Nations perhaps drive the agenda. So that was something that group already discussed, the importance of us owning our own parliamentary assembly and not be driven, because we are fully aware that there have been attempts in the past, as the one pointed out by Honourable Prime Minister, the parliamentary group on the population development that UNFPA spearheaded. In terms of more clarity on the objectives, Mr. Speaker, sir, there will be a meeting that I referred to in the report here that will be occurring at the end of this month, hosted by Fiji. So the Fiji Parliament are hosting a meeting. In that meeting, there's a draft statute that we will be considering. All parliaments in the Pacific will be considering that draft. In that draft, I'm sure there will be objectives for us to see this is the statute that will be incorporated as a transitional measure in Tahiti, in French Polynesia. This statute is a transitional measure. So at the end of this month, Mr. Speaker, sir, there will be a meeting of parliamentarians, PIPG, again in Fiji, where a draft statute will be considered by the group, Mr. Speaker, sir. And that is where I think I expect to see the objectives, as the Prime Minister rightly pointed out, is not here in this particular report as we have here. So the work continues, colleagues, Mr. Speaker, sir, that there is this meeting happening at the end of this month already in Fiji to look at this statute, the draft one, that is coming before the PIPG. And once again, we expect to see the objective, we expect to see the Secretariat arrangements for this, we expect to see the budgetary all the elements in the recommendation we expect to see in this draft statute. So I think for our friends in French Polynesia, in terms of incorporating international organizations, their laws are a bit more, how should I say, more laxed in terms of the process. That is why the group has agreed as a transitional measure to have them register this statute draft once it's approved in French Polynesia. It must be said that the Assembly there has been very active in terms of promoting parliamentary cohesion, solidarity, in terms of throughout the PIPG as well, expending resources, their own resources, to ensure that this body becomes a reality. Mr. Speaker, sir. So yes, issues of language, our meetings have been held in bilingual, so mainly it's English and French. So interpretation is always provided in the meetings of the PIPG. And I would expect that that would carry on into the PIPA as well. And so that is something that is accepted already by colleagues in our other Pacific parliaments, that in terms of moving forward, that would have to be the working arrangement in terms of the official languages. We don't have any Spanish speaking in our Pacific region, unlike in the Caribbean, for example, where they have English, French, and Spanish. So they have to have all of those. Here we only have the English and the French. So in terms of the working language, official working language will be in those two, French and English. So I very much appreciate the Prime Minister's general acceptance of the idea, the concept. Of course, the specificities that he's talking about, we will be looking at the end of this month in Fiji. So Fiji will be hosting this meeting to look at the draft statute that we hope would incorporate all the recommendations as well as the transitional measures. So it's a transitional measure to have this body incorporated as quickly as possible. So everyone agreed in the working group that this is important, and the quickest way, the shortcut way, is through the French Polynesia in terms of their own laws has to do with the incorporation of international bodies. They are quite autonomous in terms of their standing with Paris. It's quite, if you've been there, you would see they are quite proud of their autonomy that they have, their own presidents, members of parliament, the assembly. They're quite active in doing that, except that their teachers and doctors are all paid by France, so they don't go through the problems that we go through. Of course, the military, Mr. Speaker, so it's an interesting. I think you may have visited them already, but just the EEZ size of French Polynesia is 5 times that of Solomon Islands. 5 times the size of Solomon Islands, the EEZ, ocean space. And it's interesting, if you visit them, they will say that there are no illegal boats currently in our EEZ zone. They don't even offer licenses to any foreign fishing nation to come and fish in the massive EEZ. They don't collect licenses as we and many other countries in the Pacific do. They only offer that space for their own fishing boats. So they're quite protective of their sovereignty, perhaps limited, but they're doing that. And, they know that there are no illegal ships in the EEZ, even how massive it is, because the French provide satellites for them that give real time. Real time. They can just see a ship going and they say, let's go and check that one. Why is it traveling so slowly? So colleagues, when it comes to sovereignty issues, our members of the Pacific Islands Forum, French Polynesia is a full member of the Pacific Islands Forum. So they have very, very strong feelings as well in terms of their own sovereignty. Of course, in terms of our own state, they don't have that, but they're definitely self-governing. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think the concerns raised on the budget is one that is shared even with the group itself. That has always been the big issue for any group in terms of the region setting up. I think it's fair to say that the cost of the secretariat is one of the issues that bump up the resources part. But at the same time, I think the group agreed that in order to be taken seriously and to move forward and to support the regional parliamentary assembly that we're trying to set up, it's good to have our own secretariat. We were talking about all sorts of hybrid ones, linking up with the Pacific Island Forum Secretariat, linking up with the SPC and all those. But in the end, parliamentarians throughout the Pacific agreed that we should have our own secretariat. It will cost us money. And here, Mr. Speaker, sir, is where we as our own parliament, we also agree that when it comes to budgetary implications, there needs to be support from the executive in terms of that support as well for us. And that is one of the big reasons we are now considering this report here in our own parliament. Because when it comes to funds and resources, we will need support to do that. And of course, the executive, the cabinet, you will have to support us, the parliament, in that particular component of this body, Mr. Speaker, sir. Yes, indeed, as Foreign Minister has said, you know, we are already founding members of many of our regional organizations here, and of course we can add another notch to our belt, you know, if we support this moving on, going forward. I think it's good to not shy away and to take a positive approach to these regional initiatives that on the whole would benefit the region. Yes, the cost of doing things, particularly in the region, is quite exaggerated, perhaps compared to other regions, given our wide dispersion from the north all the way down west, and then down to the eastern side of the Pacific. That can be a big undertaking in terms of support for costs. But I think members of the working group feel that it's important enough for us to have our own group for the region that looks at parliamentary issues of common interests and addressing them as much as possible and where appropriate together. Mr. Speaker, sir. The reports to Parliament, yes, each of our members of the Pacific Island Parliamentary Group have been reporting back to their parliaments, so that is their own process. So we respect each other's own reporting process. We haven't placed a strict reporting structure, respecting each country's own parliamentary processes. We have left that open. There are certain resolutions that are passed throughout the past group meetings. If you look at it, they closely mirror the agenda of the Pacific Islands Forum. You know, the ones on oceans, fisheries, all those as well are passed. Language are very, how should I say, consensual. So nothing too exciting sometimes in some of these resolutions, but at least it shows some sort of unity or united position on an issue. So that has been done throughout the last 4 meetings of the group as well, and usually it's just 1 or 2 resolutions. But I think going forward the idea is to have it more organized in the sense that we come up with things that we can take action on jointly. And as I mentioned, one of the key ones, as a key example, could be just the domestication of international law into our domestic laws, so that we can try and implement them, especially international laws that do have a positive impact for us in the Solomons. And an example I just gave about the recent outcome of the International Court of Justice advisory opinion. We know that advisory opinions they're not binding. They don't have a legal binding status. While it's quite positive for us in the Pacific Islands, it doesn't mean that the big emitters are going to be implementing what the courts have stated in their opinion. So that is why it's called an opinion. It will help our negotiators, definitely, in terms of our negotiations in the COP process, the Conference of Party processes. But I think more importantly, if we are serious about this, we need to incorporate some of the findings into our own laws so that it bites in our own laws and gives us that stronger position when we negotiate with our partners moving forward, particularly in the area of climate change and such. Mr. Speaker, I acknowledge that there has been support by those that spoke for this motion, and I thank you very much for them. But the information that I'm sharing now is that the details that were raised as some concerns will be looked at our meeting at the end of this month in Fiji. So that is something that I want to share with the House, as I already mentioned already in my introduction to the paper, that these details will be continue to be hashed out as members of other parliaments gather in Fiji. Now, what happens in Fiji could be that they will be asking for those interested to also sign up already in terms of that particular meeting in Fiji. I'm hearing here that we are still perhaps looking for some workshopping to do. Maybe we could do something, in terms of what others are perhaps looking to do in Fiji. It is always good to be a first mover on issues, to be seen as a founding member of these important organizations that are being created. At the same time, I also recognize that there are some sentiments raised here that the need, perhaps we should go through more clearly in terms of workshopping, but other parliaments are already looking forward to the statute, the draft, and considering it very seriously already in Fiji, including, of course, our two big PIF member countries, Australia and New Zealand parliaments will also be there. So these are issues that are already in the works and are already running, Mr. Speaker, sir. With those few words, Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity to respond to the comments that are made and the interventions that are made. I thank you very much for those interventions. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Members, I will now put a question, and the question is that Parliament resolves itself into the Committee of the Whole House to consider National Parliament Paper number 13 of 2025, Perspectives of Parliamentary Cooperation in the Pacific Islands, conclusions and recommendations endorsed by the Pacific Islands Parliaments Group. All those in favour say aye. All those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The House will now resolve into the Committee of the Whole House. Honourable Members, the paper before us, this committee, is National Parliament Paper number 13 of 2025. the perspectives of parliamentary cooperation in the Pacific Islands, conclusion and recommendations endorsed by the Pacific Islands Parliaments Group. Before we go through the paper, I wish to remind all honourable members that debate may extend over all the details contained in the paper. I will allow discussion on paragraphs of this paper, but will not put any question or allow any amendment in relation to the paper. I propose that we go through the paper page by page. And we'll start at page number 6, page 6. Any member wish to contribute or comment on page number 6? Page number 6, anyone wish to contribute? Thank you. We'll move on to page number 7. Anyone wish to comment on page 7? Page 7, anyone wish to comment on page 7? Thank you, Leader of the Opposition.
Yes, just perhaps for Chairman of Foreign Relations to clarify from those discussions. Of course, when we're thinking at the national level, the role of the legislature is to supervise and to hold the executive government to account. And so when you take that to another level, of course, these are no elected, directly elected go or regional level, but how is this regional parliamentary platform, how is that going to work with PIF, for example? Page 7 as an example here, quoting Tuvalu communique. Say, for example, the talk about the blue continent, how now this developed platform is going to complement and not duplicate what's done at the PIF leaders level. Thank you.
Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Leader of Opposition. Indeed, for us, in terms of some overlap, there will be some overlap in terms of the work that we do, looking at the same issue from different angles, perhaps. But you're right, duplication is the sin that we will try to avoid in terms of this. In terms of how we see this going forward, the interface with the Pacific Island Forum leaders could be through some sort of reporting of the work that has been done by the PIPA. Just as we have now this interface dialogue between the civil society group during the Pacific Island Leaders Forum meetings and the business. I think there's also a private sector kind of engagement time with the leaders. So particularly when it comes to that particular format, I think the hope is that there will be a space for parliamentarians to also make some interface, FaceTime with leaders at that level, in terms of the regional level. When it comes to the issues that we will be considering, going by past practices, already in the first or the second one that I personally attended, a lot of the discussions are around what each one has been doing. So the host proposes the theme, for example, and then we all discuss the theme and come up with some sort of resolution around that theme just for ourselves. And then we are supposed to have taken it back to our own parliaments to discuss, perhaps in some setting similar to this, maybe, before they are taken into some more serious considerations by each of the parliaments. But in terms of interactions in the whole integration of the Pacific architecture, I think the idea is to add on to the inclusivity of the Pacific Forum, ways of how we can also interact there with leaders at that level. So it could be some suggestions coming out from the PIPA that they feel want to be shared with leaders at that level. So that could be. I mean, these things are still up to be negotiated and all that sort of thing, but those are some of the thinking that we're hearing already from some of the members in terms of how to make no duplication in terms of our efforts. So it'll be a work in progress for some time, I think, in terms of how we get to the fine tuning until we get to where we want to with this particular body. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you. So this is still an evolutionary process, so you may know Barwa, home in Lohemit. But I think what's important also is that PIPA itself does not undermine PIF, so that the regional voice to the rest of the world, that where the region is speaking as one. Of course, some resolutions at the leaders level, or PIF, could be questioned by any other crop agency, but we run the risk that we may appear divisive in our voice to the rest of the world, and we're already quite a small region in terms of the size of the country. It's a big region in terms of the blue continent, but small in terms of the size of population and governments and resources, and any divergence of views at that Barawa penultimate level there may work against us. So maybe that's something in the discussions for August, in August we will look at in terms of the treaty, founding treaty itself. So I think that's why this whole ideal workshop here is important. We need to explore a little bit more these issues, and if there is a draft for this treaty, and good for August, and even if it's just a working document, we could even hold a very quick workshop before you go to that meeting, so that at the very least there are some directions from Parliament in terms of how far you can take it. This one by me important. And then subsequently, me thinking, of course, there's great benefit in being a founding member, but because ME evolved, we've not had that draft of what the treaty might look like. Of course, we would have an impact on him too, time you go and negotiate, but we are not in a position to give you the kinds of directions to go on to sign on. I see it difficult that you sign on at the end of August in Fiji. You're going to have to come back, and then you may say yes and then sign on. And I think you need to impress on Fiji and the others as well to do the same with their parliaments. That would then strengthen parliamentary. That inclusivity is from the word go back to each of the parliaments. Then you may, as it were, accede or ratify to this document. So that I think will enable that all of our voices have been heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to add on to the discussion in terms of the points raised by the Leader. Yes, the interface that the Chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee has raised is important. And I think this has to be considered also within the ongoing review of the regional architecture, which is not, the reports are there from the high-level team, which leaders will look at come September, because that review includes the review of the crop agencies, because avoiding duplication and issues of coordination. So that's on a review. But in terms of interface, the reporting, for example, how will the PIPA report? Or even going forward, will PIPA consider applying for either an observer, for example, to the PIFs? And using that status, they can report to PIFs whenever PIFs are meeting. Or even applying for, as one of the, to become a crop agency. That's another angle to it. But as I've said, the review of the regional architecture, which includes the review of the crop agencies, is currently underway. So it will be interesting to see what now the outcome of this whole SUA meeting at the end of this month statute. But I think it will be useful also at this stage, as leader of opposition tell them, if we can have some draft of the statute. As you said, Chairman, I think the draft about objectives, purposes will be much more clear. I believe as a parliament, we would like to have access to that sort of information. And we'll be sharing it out in a workshop before you leave to represent our parliament. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair, Prime Minister, for those comments. Yeah, indeed. I think the modalities for engagement, including in the forest, like already existing framework that we have, is something that we're still discussing even within the PIPG. There are certain members that really want us to be quite separate from the PIF, the forum. Quite like that too. Yeah? We're toward parliamentarians, so it's a little bit different vibe, in terms of how they feel and they speak their mind. So there are some feelings about maybe we don't really need to be integrated, too much. And then there's also other group that say maybe we should join crop. So you have a kind of those views there. I think when we get to the next meeting, there might be more closer in terms of what it might look like, moving forward. But as we all know, parliamentarians have their own minds, quite sometimes not very diplomatic in terms of how they say things. Unlike our schooled, well-versed Minister of Foreign Affairs, very diplomatic in terms of how he engages. So definitely, I think the issues in terms of the draft statute is something that we've taken on board in terms of that. And I think the idea that perhaps we can have a look at it in some format before the meeting commences would be good. At the same time, it's not on us to also ask the others to follow our route as well. I think they already have they're probably way ahead, or perhaps way behind. I'm not too sure, but I think each one have their own ways in terms of how to deal with this draft statute. So it's not a treaty as such. That was also discussed. It's not a treaty yet. We hope that it will become a treaty past the transitional area of being called a statute. So these are it's evolving in terms of this particular space as well. So well taken. I think the idea that we might need to workshop the draft statute would be an important one that we can do, so that going into Fiji we'll know where our position is as a national parliament on this. Although I do note that it is us, the parliament, that are doing this. The executive, when you do your rounds, you hardly come and consult with us, and we find out after the fact that you have signed on to something. For us, it's so important that we get these discussions done right, transparent, accountable, so that we're all on the same page. And we would like to encourage the executive as well to also follow our processes, bring things to the committees as well as the Foreign Relations Committee, so that we can discuss things as openly as well in that format. I think when it comes to modalities, the review is happening already in the regional architecture, as Prime Minister's already stated. For a new organization to be involved in a review already is kind of bit of a stretch. But I think the context of the current dialogue and discussions is where we might see something useful coming out of there. But as I say, there are certain speakers of parliament who don't want us to be integrated at all, so want us to be totally independent, that sort of thing. So that discussion is still ongoing, and we're hoping that the draft might set up, statute might set up some ideas as to where we will end up on that. But the next steps in terms of our own process is a welcome one. That perhaps, Chairman, you can help us out here in setting up another workshop for us to workshop the statute before we go. I think there will be options, of course, in terms of these things. Others might be more ahead of us and willing to sign already. We might have reservations on certain parts. We might sign something in principle. I think there are also these kinds of options that might be available to us. But definitely it'll depend on how we see the draft statute that I think we need to look at before we go. Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Leader of the Opposition.
Yeah, meeting in report set no mana. I mean, by no approval or something. Me noting report no mana no motion. But the important discussion now is this discussion. How do we progress this? And I think what is clear is, but you must come back here. You cannot go sign here. But you must come back. Either that or we workshop this draft and then we give directions. Because by government statement, we're still meeting next week as a Friday. So it's possible that maybe another motion similar, but something to give directions, approval and directions, if we can hold a workshop prior to that, then that way you are going with Parliament's blessing and the kind of directions going forward, what you can sign on and what you can't, well, pretty much what you can sign on, and giving you some leeway as to how by approaching the negotiations and so forth. So meeting and thinking forward in terms of process, that one now you should a little bit, that's not for today's motion of course, but that one now you a little bit focused on him, and some informal discussions to happen, how we might progress it, if it's possible next week. If the draft document is ready even, we could maybe even expedite that and devote half a day to it, something also, to then enable you to go with the mandate. This matter. That would be my sort of feel at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader of the Opposition. Chairman.
No, thank you. I will note it, and I think we'll try and proceed along that line. In terms of if we have a draft available, we can start sharing that. And look forward to perhaps another timing, Chair, in terms of where we can present and have another round. But I think it's important that the mandate is given, so we go with a clear mandate what we're doing, yeah, or we don't go at all. I mean, that's also an option. So thanks.
Thank you very much. Foreign Affairs Minister.
Mr. Chair, you will page 7 yet or you will go now?
Page 7, yeah.
Maybe some move a little bit.
Can we move on to page 8?
Thank you.
Page 8, anyone wish to comment? Yeah, thank you, Minister.
You take page 8 and 9 together because they are related to mine. I think, Mr. Chairman, in 1981, the Northern Territories or the former Municipal Association of the Pacific Island Legislature. The aim of that is for bringing together what the North Pacific Territories for supporting independence process below what the territories here. The next one, of 2013, the next initiative of the parliamentarians, of France Polynesia, is the creation of the group of Polynesian parliamentarian, GPP. So you look in a note of this. Now, in 2019, the formation of the PIPPG, the Pacific Island Parliamentary Group. Now, Blotalo, France Polynesia, are mainly for promoting Polynesian identity, culture and language, contribute to the better understanding of representative institution, and promoting what the role of the woman in Polynesian institutions. So those two are the different mandates. Now coming to Bloimit is a Pacific Island parliamentary group. That on mandate na important wa leader of opposition se. Taken kama is started and imi look learn because have not included law here so that Parliament can have a look at it so that have not complicated maybe too in any way, shape or form. Meaning, different group here, Parliament here, they have their own mandate. They have their own mandates for doing. Now this one Pacific Island parliamentary group here, that one started and meet for camp for Imisabe so that he give you the full mandate. We go and say, yes. Signing up to the statutes, no problems. Ratifyment, no ratifyment, unless we have a look at it. So that it is ratified, and maybe as the chairman of the foreign relations said, maybe domesticate himself what the international laws here. But the important thing is for himself, there are two different groups. Then coming now, the third one, we have to amalgamate together. What is the statutes inside? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Chairman.
Yes, thank you, Minister. Thank you, Chair. I think you hit the nail on the head, in terms of what it is. In fact, just like Prime Minister raised, there's been past efforts already. We know our northern neighbours have their own, Polynesia have their own. What we've been hearing in our meetings now is that those haven't worked well, in terms of their intentions too. So they're trying to see something where we can all get serious about all of us, kind of a thing. So I think it's bodies that they have tried themselves, but then in the end run out of steam for whatever reason, kind of a thing. So I think it's very clear. In terms of the statute, thanks for that option as well. There's an option of perhaps signing but ratifying later, those sort of things we can also look at. But I think the first one, Amy looking must have drafted and Amy story now. But now, objectives below that fella, statute, draft statute. Thank you.
Very much. Let's move on to page 10. Anyone wish to comment on page 10? Thank you, Opposition Leader.
Yeah, thank you. Just in terms of our representation to look at forums below PIPA, at the moment it's just a working group, PPG or whatever it is, PIPG. But in terms of PIPA, of course, again, that's a matter of by statute more, so you're not clear with it, which way ban go. So we speculate it. But so far, look at the discussions law working group. How is that going to be? Is that or chairman law, foreign relations now, representative me or speaker, or what's the kind of discussion so far?
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Leader, Opposition. Yeah, so it's quite mixed, and once again, Parliament send different people to you. Yeah, so for us, the Speaker has been attending. I myself attended once these meetings. Other parliaments send him other members of parliaments, one from government, one from opposition. Some follow opposition no more, one follow opposition leader. I mean, it's really quite fluid in terms of the membership. I'm hoping that perhaps going forward, we have more clarity in terms of this. But for our own practice no more, I mean, the chairman, Mr. Speaker, is the one that appointed currently. And I think the other parliaments doing something similar like that. So, but there is some value in continuity too. That one meeting no say then you send him a new man more, and also you start again more discussion and you can question kami, you start to same. Something you start saying no more, you go back again more kind of thing. But I think it depends on the issue. But what I've noticed Nova is parliaments have been sending quite differently from each one too. So there's not a uniform kind of. I think we'll need to look at the statute to see what it says there. But going by how so far discussions have been, it seems like parliaments want to reserve that right to send who they want to send to these meetings. And if they want to do that, then you may respect them too, what their own modalities blow it for. Select them who not come. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Leader of the opposition.
Insofar as this, this is a new development. Once you become PIPA and you may sign on, therefore, by you may, I think standing orders, by you must clarify our representation to this fellow crop agency or whatever it will become, so that I'm clear now. Chairman of Foreign Relations now go, by Speaker now appoint him. You may not leave him no more. I'm up in the air. And then we all know how to feed into that process. So when chairman goes or speaker goes, go on the basis of mandate below you, or we are part of, if we choose to, contributing to the issues where we come. And of course, as chairman Hemi Talan move motion, reporting comeback law parliament, initially through the FRC, perhaps some issues for House Committee, but eventually must come to the floor, so we will have the opportunity either on the floor or workshopping issues outside. I am important that we feel that we're contributing to that process, so that I'm also inclusive and through one, and inclusive through both in terms of our parliament, but also views outside of our parliament going to that. The issue of, also Chairman Hemi say that some fellow parliaments or members will come working groups so far, like for Parliament independence threat from PIF, and also me worry a little bit. I like the activism. Of course, at sovereign level, Parliament must independent from executive, although executive has more numbers, but still Parliament is independent from the executive, and the judiciary is independent from either of those two also. That at the national level, I'm straight now. Time we go to regional level, and given our peculiarities, if this platform can become independent or perhaps too independent, and then we're getting too many voices in different directions coming from the region to the rest of the world, that could be an issue. And so, again, we don't know. We're speculating here, but I'm good for the draft for CAM statute here for Imilu Luklohem. And as we said before, gospel, so you can go with our blessing to negotiate on some things, add some things, perhaps also remove some things, negotiate with him. So I'm thinking I'm not want to focus on if it's possible next week, so he can go with some directions on how to engage time and casino then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Central Honiara.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, me come late 2 years, so suppose me go wrong a little bit, you correct me come. I just like this point of representation, me are a little bit know what interactions that people are excellent contributions. Just low this representation, that's one way to look at it. The other way is to take a bipartisan approach law inside of Parliament, so that we can task ourselves at this very, very initial stage on both sides of the House. Maybe one representative from government, opposition, and possibly the independent group also to participate in this process, so that we all can share the information that comes back to contribute towards these new institutions that we are going to look forward to establishing. So just on that point, normal representation, I think it would be good for us to take that bipartisan approach within Parliament. I'm okay, Speaker, you sabi attend, but I think it would be good to have a representation within Parliament, so that message here I am shared with the various grouping inside the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure what's the view.
Minister, Rural Development.
Thank you, Chair. Let me comment a little bit more as one of the attendants of this PIPG or PIPA. So Anyway, what I found is exactly what the Honorable for West Honiara, Central Honiara. Representation am not really capturing the whole scope of government level. Because most of where I'm going to go, they many block offices inside. So, I'm casting original level or making decisions sometimes in hard level. So, that's what I actually experienced during the Palau one. So, also in support of the idea of making some of the like ministers who represent some of the agendas were becoming law meetings or so. I think more small contribution. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Minister. Chairman.
Thank you. I recognize the contributions by Central Honiara, Chairman of PAC, and Honourable Member for North Malaita and Minister for MRD. Yeah, I think my reading of things tomorrow, we'll see with the draft, is that when it comes to the composition of delegations, they leave that up to each parliament to go. So no one wants to force Una should come to parliament blue and kind of thing. So I think that might be where we're heading with this one, but there is a need for us to ensure that there is a good representation for us, and that's up to us now. I think if we can agree or something or say level, I think by this will PIPA by no making any issue about it. So I think that falls back on us. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Opposition Leader.
Yeah, and just to note, the FRC is bipartisan. Yeah, man. I mean, all our committees ought to be bipartisan. So even no creative subcommittee to mas for mansesema we want come out committee make them go or something. So I mean, within our current committee structure, we can achieve this. FRC could be doing that. So to me, that issue is under current mandate can be tackled. The issue of going with mandate now is the more pertinent one that we do need to get a grip on how BAM, going into the future, how BAM work out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to page number 11. Honourable Member for Small Malaita.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General comment number. I mean, look also this matter, I'm going to continue to be evolving. Also, maybe going for development, this will PIPA. And we have recommendations, I think 16 or 15. First one now on page 11. So that one normally like comment, I'm just wondering going forward whether I think this idea for a seminar, whether this seminar is addressing all of the recommendations before all the representatives we may go for next group meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Chairman.
Thank you. Yeah, we welcome this discussions going forward. We're in your hands in terms of how we can do this. I think it's important for us to get the draft statute so that the earlier we get it, the more I think helpful it will be for us to start discussing it in a way that's meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's move on. Honourable Member for Central Honiara.
Chairman, this will label as a strategy for Pacific Parliament. So it's the aim here is to have a Pacific Parliament. Also, this could be a long way process to come in for us to have a common parliament inside the Pacific. So, and also the use of terms like legislature and parliament. I mean, legislature is a lawmaking body. What was in my reading of this paper is more about a grouping of parliament, sharing information, collaborating and so forth. Yeah? So just the way of suggestion, my Lord, Chairman, that perhaps you tune him down a little bit now, what we are aiming to establish for here. I mean, eventually we want to end up to have a common parliament, yeah? Like European Parliament or African Union Parliament or something. But for the time being, I think it would be good for us to have a process for IMI to work towards. Something that is more probably an association or an interparliamentary within the Pacific, something or something. But also, how I'm looking at recommendation here that there would, well, it's already there to call it as a Pacific Interparliamentary Assembly. Sometimes you mean say assembly, assembly blow who here? Assembly of a group of parliament or assembly blow member state parliament. Then it raised the question, who elected them? Where do they get the mandate from? I think something was a Minister of Foreign Affairs in raising to them a little bit. Where do they get the mandate from? Is it from other political parties that are members of the parliament law at Pacific here, or do we vote them here to be part of that interparliamentary assembly, or something else? Just something for think about, yeah, something to think about. But I think the whole idea that we should be working towards some kind of a Pacific interparliamentary body here, I think that's a good idea. How do we mandate them is another thing. Who do they represent? When we choose them, most time you may generalize him that my parliament blow the member states here now, or they elect him or appoint him. Sometimes speaker say appoint him to be part of this. So do they really carry the mandate and representation what people really need? It's arguable, but something for think about now. And it would be good to have some thoughts from the chairman and others on this. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Member. What's that?
Thank you, Chairman. First time, me like for thank you, Chairman Law, PRC for the motion and the report. Chairman, me law page 29, law report. Imtal by around no way, so report about good now. Imtal note what him come out clear is Imtal workshop. Put him date next week for Imtal workshop. Make him help him, Chairman, bring Imtal time him current and full of that energy to go and represent us. So law page 29, him say Imtal conclude and Imtal look law take for Imtal workshop. That one no more. Me ask him, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to page 12. Noted. Anyone wish to comment on page 12? Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Chair. Just a general comment, not necessarily on page 12, but I think building on the comments that have been expressed so far in terms of this process, because by an evolving process, it's a new initiative. So matters of representation are important as Central Honor and Talem. Of course, he's already giving us some ideas, jumping ahead of in terms of a Pacific Parliament like the Europeans, but that's something for the future. But when we look at Pacific integration, it could involve more ideas. But the point is, I think with this initiative, an important one, and in terms of how do we the representation, of course, the basis of that representation in terms of legitimacy. I think from day one, in terms of this initiative, it has to be a bipartisan approach now, including from the workshop that we are talking about, but also the future processes that Baham come on this initiative. It would be good to get both sides of the House to reflect, and then we make decisions as one parliament, as a parliament, so that whoever represents us to these meetings of the PIPA, they go with the mandate of the whole House. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable Chair.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I agree definitely with the Prime Minister in terms of that, in terms of the makeup of delegations to this future PIPA. And of course, when it comes to regional integration, yeah, I think we can all agree that the European Union Parliament and far a little bit now. I mean, they are the ones that are really integrating in terms of the European Union. And that's very clear when you interact with them. You know, some of us have had experience in the parliamentary OACP EU Assembly, which is, brings its own interesting mix too. Nobody goes there representing their own parliaments and that, but man, some of the resolutions can be very acrimonious and ini kan story kasing colonialism come out na kind of thing. But for us in the Pacific, I think we respect the fact that other parliaments are a little bit different from us. Some are influenced by America, some are a little bit French, you mean a little bit English. So there's that mix. I think if I heard correctly, the Speaker of Tonga can actually introduce bills himself into Parliament. You know, so that just goes to show we are very, very diverse in terms of our parliamentary groupings. And the idea now is that all members so far in the that we've been meeting respect this diversity. So they understand that we're all different. But at the same time, I think they all buy into this idea that we have to try and find issues-based themes that we can all add something on, representing our peoples in terms of the representation that comes out there. So for sure, I agree definitely in terms of the makeup of the bipartisan, that's very important. And at the same time, in terms of integration, it may be still out there, bit of a longer walk like that. You know, Chair, in the Caribbean, you know, some of the smaller micro states in Caribbean only have one embassy in Switzerland. We have 3-4 countries just have one embassy representing all of them. They're all sovereign countries. You know, so that's an example of how they have evolved so integrated that they have allowed that. I think that can't happen to us yet. In terms of the Pacific, our sovereignty is still something that we guard quite strongly. For sure, economic integration is something that we keep on talking about in the PIF, but I think it's still a bit too far for reality yet, you know, that sort of thing. I think when it comes to Parliament like this, I think like the Chairman of PAC is telling, it's more of a grouping of parliaments that discuss issues of common interest. I think going by the resolutions that have been passed, it's very, very bland. You know, if that's the word to say it. So it's just very bland, and everybody agree with him. No anyone carry any issue with him before mifala papasin kind of thing. So, but I think going forward, this fala statute here, no mana imi kamay statute here, their objective and should be clearer for guiding me in terms of our conversations on this going forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to page 13. Anyone wish to comment on page 13? Also recommendation 3 and recommendation 4. If you would like to comment on it, please. Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a general comment on the recommendations. I believe in view of the workshop that is coming up, time started to come. At this stage, I think we should just note in all the recommendations without having to make specific comments on each, because we still have information that are yet to be provided. So my suggestion is, I'm in your hands. I'm not forcing you to proceed very fast on the paper, but my thinking is we should just note all the recommendations at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chairman.
Thank you.
I totally agree with what now Prime Minister is suggesting, that you may note him about every recommendation, and perhaps we can waste them under the seminar working group that is going to happen sometimes in the forthcoming weeks, so that we can go in detail. But me just like to comment normally the way that some of these recommendations are made, like for instance, when I am saying that that M should mandate him should be broadly or aerial or thematic and geographical. This is a coverage of geographical element. Sometimes you say, like in too much the region. You may hide him now, Chamala. Very finer and very essential things within the region. Yeah. So just because we are all part of that region, blue ocean thematic issues ocean now, then you may think that these are the common things that them should bind them together. But when we come to the details of our own sovereign parliament or the sovereign existence of democracy, sometimes issues like this now downplay the significance of certain values that you may hold so dearly to our own self, to our own sovereignty. So a little bit careful of that one no more. Yeah, you may a little bit careful of something else. And perhaps thematic, yes, I'm good. But just because the coverage no more or now geography, sometimes as me meeting him, you may cover him because we are all one of that region, and the region I'm covering not this particular theme here. So other smaller issues that we should be looking more in detail. You may borrow and downplay. I'm a little bit comment normal on that one, but maybe when we do the workshopping, some of these things might come out. But me agree, suggestion European. You may adopt him everything, and then you may go for lunch now. Something I said. Thank you, Chairman.
Well, thank you. Just not adopted, but note. Thank you.
So now I'd like to ask the House to look at the recommendation on page 28. Page 28. Note those recommendations. And then we can dissolve the committee.
Page 28 will look nice to us, and
Yeah.
we recommendations say you may note him for him workshop room, and then just on that issue of geographical laws, we may leave him as open as possible. I note that Hawaii, for example, part law, this one, but Hawaii, as opposed to the French territories, Hawaii is not a territory; it's a state within the U.S. And again, time by you may look law workshop, you may look good law that one too, because then by this purpose, below this whole platform, they become a little bit crystallized, a little bit more. So why should Hawaii be in, and say Japan, who's a sovereign state, not be part of Pacific or some other Pacific territory or state? I would prefer that Miram Strait no more PIF that all get member states and territories lo PIF. Yes, some criteria for membership and through lo PIF. But anyway, that's a matter we canvass law workshop, so that there are some directions for chairman taken. But we note the page 28 and Barrow look nice. We may go lines now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Opposition Leader. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I think, that's some of the issues that I'm causing some to say that we shouldn't be aligned too much with MPF. you know, because of this. Yeah, and then of course you have others who say no, I think we must align. So you have this discussion also happening within the group. So the group is, as it says, it's like-minded, you know, quite open. But now they're trying to formalize it, yeah, in terms of make it more. Now you start to talk about assembly now, kind of thing. So, but this is ongoing discussions, yeah, that happens even in the group. And this is one of those that are saying that maybe we shouldn't align too much with them beef, yeah. And then there's others that say no, I think we should. So, yeah, it's an ongoing discussion. So I think we'll see the objective. Maybe it could be clearer there in terms of membership. But all those things should be in the draft statute. That we'll try and get it out, we get it to as many people as, well, to all of us here. And then, Chair, we're in your hands in terms of when we can do a workshop, go through again, with a time frame. I mean, if we can meet the end of the month kind of time frame, it will be good. Otherwise, we can tell our colleagues that we have not yet considered, these issues well enough to have a say in terms of what's happening in Fiji at the end of the month. So thank you once again for those suggestions. But yeah, Leader, you're hitting on some of those issues that it's at the crux of how even those in the group are looking at how it evolves moving forward. They're very important and well noted. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Member for Central Honiara.
Chairman, and also I just want to possibly get a similar reaction from Chairman of Foreign Relations to the recommendation 10, yeah. Incorporation in Tahiti. Say for instance, suppose association incorporating law Tahiti. What's the jurisdiction law Tahiti? It's like, yeah, you may run but no side to. Oh, I think Chairman, by you say a little bit low, but as long as I'm not gonna be strings attached to long French, yeah. So if say for instance any time that anything could possibly happen, you may know somehow subject to that extended string where I'm attached to French here. But not forgetting that all a crop member organization, which one here? SPC. I don't know where it is incorporated. Statute lo memni deposited lo New Caledonia or lo Fiji or lo where. Something was in there. We need to find out. Yeah, because it's one of the body member lo jela crop. I'm saying so. Maybe PM would have some understanding. Minister for Foreign Affairs. But I think it's what leader and tell them, these are some of the issues that you need to be very careful with them too. Most African countries, when they wanted to pull out from all these self-determination issues one time, France, yeah, hey, man, it's a very difficult one. I must say so. Just be careful. Maybe some of those things, for you, for look, Chair, I think you may have some knowledge to have a discussion before the happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Thank you, Minister for Provincial Government.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me. Thank you to Chair of Foreign Relations, and then before we start, forward thinking no more. The establishment of this regional thing here, me think that you may properly, in the event that you may eventually establishing this regional parliamentary thing, and you may be part of, maybe it's important that you be validating the establishment of this organization through treaty. Because this treaty now, by him confirmed, and validating the legal personality below that body, whereby I'm also spelling out too the functions, duties, obligations also. So we may want to put in that comment generally also. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Minister. Chairman.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for questions, Chairman PAC, Minister as well. Thank you so much for your contributions. Yeah, so this were all under the consideration in terms of our build-up to where we are now. Ideally, a treaty is where we're heading for. But at the same time, I think Parliament's aware that will take time in terms of a real treaty, an international treaty when we're talking about a regional international body. That is where this statute comes in. So the statute here is supposed to be a transitional measure, but apparently in French Polynesia, such a statute would already give some status to a body, a regional body such as this. That's why that is the one that is being offered as a transitional point towards a future international treaty, below this one too. So once again, I think you may go back to the draft statute here, where we're looking whether also current provisions for in the future, look at the issue that's said, but apparently incorporating a statute inside of French Polynesia automatically gives you a regional standing status here. Yeah, status for a regional international organization, kind of thing. So it seems to be a more easier pathway. That is the explanation that we have in terms of this. Of course, we have to note as well that their legal standing as a sovereign country is not fully sovereign, that sort of thing. But it seems to be that members of the group are allowing this to happen as a transitional measure as we work towards a full treaty for sign, knowing full well the process it takes for treaty kind of negotiations and drafts and all of that going forward. But I think all the sentiments shared here are all along the lines of discussions already within the group itself. Yeah, so all these issues were already shared internally. And the statute that's supposed to be looked at in Fiji is the quicker pathway towards some legal status recognition for this group. Allows for what the group wants to do, particularly the secretariat, funding. Those really are the big things that when you look at these issues, organizations, those are really the crux of it. You know, secretariat that makes it meaningful, and then the support, the money that comes into making it run. Otherwise, you may adopt something you know by next day and fall down number two kind of thing. So I think that is the quickest pathway towards some legal status. With the understanding, that is my understanding, with the understanding for fuller treaty coming in later. Yeah. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Chairman, responsible Chairman, am I good? I'm a little bit clarifying, a little bit, my thinking blow me more. So really we're looking for a sort of a charter for registration purposes, no more at this stage, man. So that you may set them up properly and as a legal body, and then wakai and just go ahead. Treaty now you may barawa must engage him. So if that was all there is, but we don't know. So that document must come make him look. No good him actually him go out and reach or blame him quite broad, much broader than just a registration document, articles of incorporation or something or something. The other issue, and we'll know more when that comes in our workshop here. The other issue, no more with regards to Tahiti or French law with regards to French territories now is situation. For example, last time, member blows central time blow Yuba or different time. You will sponsor now Tahiti for independence, self-government. So say, for example, if this body PIPA was to endorse that, because parliamentarians, they make that call, and then Paris no happy lohem what happens to that registration. They may foul play lo you what kind something also. What does French law have to say about what they can do to threaten that registration? Again, we don't know. We're just speculating. But if we're having a regional platform that will speak out on issues, colonial issues in the Pacific and still a very pertinent one. So it might be something to explore a little bit further for clear good law Yumi on the point of registration itself. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Leader. Yeah, I think, these are topics that can get political quite quickly. And indeed, under the leadership of Chairman of PAC at the time, as Prime Minister, is when the relisting happened in the United Nations under the C24, the Committee of 24 for Decolonization. So that is still alive, that issue. So every year this is on the agenda for C24 to consider, decolonization. It was there in the list and it was taken out, and then under the leadership of the Solomon Islands, it was relisted like that. Of course, another one that's also there is New Caledonia, still in that list currently too, on decolonization, and that one is more I would say more established in terms of, it's quite consistent in terms of what they've been calling for. It's fair to say that in French Polynesia, as we all know, it depends on who's in government. Then there are some that support independence, and then others to say, hey, Morait Numa. So it's always this change that happens there, but it's something for us to definitely note. Thank you for raising it, because I think these things can quickly turn in political quickly, and next thing you know, we might be high and dry in terms of squeeze that might be put for our depository of a statute. So I think that is a concern, a well-founded concern moving forward. At the same time, just being interacting with them and in their assembly, they are quite protective of their sovereignty when it comes to what they do as a assembly in terms of French Polynesia too. So I think there's a certain autonomy that they feel strongly about that they already have there. At least from the little bit of exchange that we've had with them, they seem to be very much autonomous, particularly on making their own laws, looking after their EEZs, and all of that falls under their purview. So it's quite a extensive powers that they have, but well taken on board. These are issues that we'll definitely discuss. We look at the statute moving forward, but I think that is it. It's articles of association, or it's kind of things like that. So it would have an objective probably, and then you have other things that flow from that. But in terms of obligations and all of that, might be a bit light on it. Those are the crux of it in terms of treaties, treaty obligations. But we'll see when we see the draft, and then we'll pass it around, and then we can really comment more concretely on it. But I appreciate and thank you for raising these issues. We have to be aware of their current status in terms of a depository for a statute. But in terms of why we need to do it now, apparently that's the fastest route towards recognizing formally a body, a regional body that is looking to take this issue forward as we work towards a proper treaty. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Member for Central Honiara.
Thank you. For side law, was in the discussion normal law, another related issue law, the sovereign jurisdiction where possibly, where eventually, this association is going to be registered, incorporate, maybe Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, no more for the thing, no more. I'm not, trying to make any views law Fiji, but I've noted that I think Fiji is going to take a leading role in the upcoming period law, possibly finding a way where another civil association is going to be incorporated. I'm not too sure whether that is the thinking that is Fiji has. If it is made a plan on that, as opposed to Tahiti, all the good for Fiji. But just following on what Chairman of the Foreign Relations have raised today, it's a very important concept. It's the founding nations concept of this kind of institution, regional institutions, building up regional cooperation. Chair, through you, was Prime Minister, why don't we take that lead and have this hub, Solomon Islands jurisdiction is the place for you to register now, this new initiative. It will go a long way, to show to our people what is meant for us to, carry on these whole regional narratives along what is common to all of us within the Pacific region, which is of interest globally too, I must say. So just by way of thinking, I'm sure that both yourself and Foreign Minister might be thinking about this. Instead of giving away, taking it from this whole concept of the founding nations in this institution. We have one already here, Forum, is it? Forum Fisheries. Why don't we bring this in so that we can have it here? Fiji would love to do it because all of them are somewhere there in Fiji. So if they are looking for a more convenient and efficient way of doing this registration, let's find a place for you to see where now the laws of the IMI can offer that very efficient process today. I think that's my take, what now, Foreign Relations Committee Chair. Thank you, Chair and Prime Minister. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Senator Honiara. Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure the Chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee will respond. A lot of, as he said, a lot of discussions have taken place up until this stage. Because it's not final. But recommendation 10 is to incorporate the association in Tahiti, there, as it is. Of course, when we had the debate on this earlier, before the chairman of the PAC came in, I did make the intervention that going forward, as chair of the forum, we will work closely with the association to take these matters forward. But the point raised by the PAC chairman is an important one, and I'm sure the chairman himself can respond to that. Take into account the discussions that have already taken place, which reach recommendation 10 for the association to be incorporated in Tahiti. I think he did cover that in his intervention today, and you may wish to refresh or update the chairman of the PAC on how and why that decision was taken. But I think, Mr. Chairman, going forward, as I think we've all agreed to the idea that we have a workshop on this. We wait for the statute to come. Then we look at, for now, we note the recommendations. And when the workshop is done, I think that's the opportunity for us as a parliament to make a position clear on each of the 16 recommendations. So that workshop by focus on recommendations here. And what na position the Solomon Islands Parliament on recommendation 1 to 16, including recommendation 10. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Last comment from Chair for Relation.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Chairman of the PAC. Yeah, I think the issue is well covered here in terms of the road that we are following on this particular regional organization and its creation. I think the word has been used, it's evolving. I think that's accurate. we started. There's been different formats of parliamentary bodies in the different parts of the Pacific. Northern Pacific had their own, Polynesia also, but now I think we're trying to pull together all Pacific countries. The membership issue is an issue for sure to really pin down to see where exactly now you may suppose for member Loheme, no Hawaii come in wherever. I mean, these are things that we would look into in terms of this assembly moving forward and its membership. But I think, as I explained, the Tahiti incorporation there is the idea that it provides a shorter pathway to a quicker outcome that perhaps elevates the status of this. According to their laws, all you need to do is to put a statute, and then you are seen as a regional organization or regional body, kind of thing. So it seems to be a little bit more of an easier process level. And I think that's where the AC chair is saying, perhaps we should make it easy here too, so that we might, compete in terms of having it deposited here, that sort of thing. But I'm sure we can get to that discussion when we get there, when we see the draft. Of course, Chair, we also have the benefits when we share the draft with the Attorney General's chambers here as well. They would help us look into issues with the draft that help guide us as well. But I think for us, it's very important that this draft statute be circulated, and then we're in your hands as to when we can meet, workshop this. The timing, of course, is where we want to, because if you look at recommendation 16, there will be these other entities that are also invited here. These other entities, the PIF, SPC, UNDP, they will also be in Fiji. I mean, I think they're already in Fiji in terms of their setup, but they will be there as well. So it'll be something for us to be aware of. It would seem that certain parliaments are already probably way ahead of us in terms of looking at the statute itself or these reports and are quite willing to perhaps sign on already. But I think we have options. The Foreign Minister had mentioned that Yumi Garantu, this fella, option of signing but not ratifying, signing in principle or signing with brackets. We put brackets on certain places and we sign the rest. I mean, these are options open to us. So they will become more clear, I think, when we see it, and then you can instruct a delegation from Parliament in terms of what exactly we can do in Fiji. So thank you once again, everybody. I appreciate very much the interaction that we've had on this issue. It's an important one, especially now that Prime Minister will be chairing the forum for the next year going forward. I think it's just timely too that we are discussing this here. And of course, I hear already his response that he could perhaps look at this as well in his agenda moving forward throughout this year as well. I appreciate very much all the contributions that are made here in the committee of the whole, Chairman. I appreciate all the feedback and look forward to the next steps and your guidance. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honourable members, the committee is of the consensus to note the recommendations in National Parliament Paper number 13 of 2025 for further deliberation. That concludes proceedings of the Committee of the Whole, and the mover of the motion will report to the Parliament when the House is resumed. Parliament is now resumed. Chairman, Foreign Relations Committee.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to report to the House that National Parliament Paper number 13 of 2025, the Perspectives for Parliamentary Cooperation in Pacific Islands, conclusions and recommendations endorsed by Pacific Islands Parliament Group, the PIPG, has passed through the Committee of the Whole House.
Honourable members, the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee has reported, according to Standing Order 18.2, that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the report. Let us move on to our next item of business.
Motion of special adjournment.
Honourable members, the Prime Minister wished to move a motion of special adjournment today. Under Standing Order 26.1, a motion can be moved after it has appeared on the business paper 3 clear days before the day in which it has to be considered by Parliament. The motion was put on notice yesterday. Hence, I will call on the Prime Minister to take the necessary steps. Prime Minister, please.
Mr. Speaker, I seek your consent to move a motion notwithstanding Standing Order 26.1.
Leave is granted. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I move that at its adjournment on Friday, 8th August 2025, Parliament shall adjourn to Tuesday, 12th August 2025. So the reason for this special adjournment is because on Monday by the Garema funeral service program, late former Prime Minister Loimilo Country, Honorable Snyder Reedy. So the funeral service will be on Monday. The body will be here on Monday morning to allow members of Parliament to pay our respects, as well as other dignitaries and ministries and members of public. And after that, by Ngolo Church. Then the next day, Tuesday, body by repatriated home. So that's the sole reason for this special adjournment, to allow us to have that funeral service program on Monday, then by me issued by law Tuesday, 12 August, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, it is proposed that at its adjournment on Friday, 8th August 2025, Parliament shall adjourn to Tuesday, 12th August 2025. Any member who wishes to contribute to the motion before I put the question? Honourable for West Ararai.
Thank you, Speaker. This side of the House, I'm supporting your Prime Minister and your motion. I mean, clear, simple and clear. I mean, also asking him for kind of that hard lot that time for pay respect for a leader and also the family. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Honourable members, I will put the question, and the question is that at its adjournment on Friday, 8th August 2025, Parliament shall adjourn to Tuesday, 12th August 2025. All those in favour say aye. Aye. All those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion is passed. Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I move that Parliament do now adjourn.
Honourable members, the question is that Parliament do now adjourn. All those in favour say aye. Aye. All those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. According to the early resolution, the House is now adjourned till 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, 12 August 2025.